What's going on, guys? GoofyRhexxi here. Hope everybody is doing well, and wanted to talk today about Dark Dimension 5 and the best characters for Dark Dimension 5. I think the last time I did a video on this was about 4 months ago. I probably should do these a little bit more frequently because it feels like every single patch somebody drops off the list, or some things change, right? Usually in the global section, because it seems like we can never get any other characters other than global characters. However, I do want to talk about the top recommendations here for Dark Dimension 5. Going to go through all sections here. A lot has changed because of the rebirth scheme, primarily in the city section. And believe it or not, because of the rebirth team and because the web warriors are essentially going to be falling out of grace essentially in that city section, although I still do think that you may need to go with at least 1 or 2 characters in that section. That also does have a little bit of a trickle down effect to like your global section, and also because of what will happen in your legendary section, that also has a little bit of a trickle down effect as well. So let's actually just dive on into the list. My criteria here in regards to how I select the characters, it's based on Apocalypse, right? Like, what are you going to need for Apocalypse? That's kind of like my first thing that I look at in each particular section. Very hard for the city section because there's literally only like 1 character there. Then I take a look at like arena. What are you going to be doing for your arena content? Who you're going to be using there? Who you're going to be using for raids? Because that's also going to be important content for you to do as well. And then who can be like plug and play that can provide some value based on their kit that can actually be helpful in Dark Dimension. That's also a criteria I looked at also as it pertains to this. And I did also think about certain things like gear overlappage and things like that too, which we're going to talk about here in this video as well. So starting off with the city section, for me, like these are the characters that I've highlighted that I think provide the most value or make the most sense to me. I don't have like Mr. Negative highlighted here, but I can talk about him as well. And then there's like Nico, who's not highlighted, or Morbius. I wouldn't use those characters. There may be a consideration for Cloak and Dagger, and we'll talk about the reason why in a section. But in terms of like who I would probably go with to start off with, is probably Shang-Chi, right? I think great plug and play character. He's a skill character, so that's going to help out a little bit with your gear for some of your traits, because this is going to be pretty heavy bio, pretty heavy mystic. So Shang-Chi will help out a little bit here being a skill character, because it kind of eliminates a little bit of your bottleneck that you'll have for your Dark Dimension 5 build. So Shang-Chi's a good character, very good plug and play. We use him in that skill doom rate section right now. So a really good value, right? In terms of a character. Then after that, I would probably go with Squirrel Girl. I think these are like the top 2 characters for me in this section. Squirrel Girl, I think Shang-Chi and Squirrel Girl are really good options. Great plug and play character is Squirrel Girl. She's a part of that Young Avenger team that can help out outside. That helps out in a lot of different areas outside of Dark Dimension. So there's a ton of value there with using Squirrel Girl. After that, it gets a little tricky in regards to what you want to use, right? There's 2099, who I didn't have on this list the last time when I did this 4 months ago because he wasn't out then. But 2099 is used in your arena meta right now, so there is a lot of value that you can get from a character like him. The only thing to think about though is that his hero unique is also Molecular Cloth, and it's the same hero unique that Shang-Chi uses. And there's also another character that's in the global section that you're probably going to want to use Molecular Cloth on as well. So there is a little bit of a overlappage as it pertains to gear that may come into play here. You may want to be a little bit careful of as you sort of move forward. You could also pair up Miss Marvel with like Shang-Chi and Squirrel Girl, because there's going to be the assist mechanic there because of Shang-Chi with the Hero Brawler tag, and then Squirrel Girl, of course, being a Young Avenger. You can get multiple hits there, which will definitely be helpful in Dark Dimension, be able to get some additional damage. There's also Ghost Spider, who I kept on here. Now, I don't like her there. I honestly wouldn't even want to recommend Web Warriors anymore because of the rebirth team, but she is very cheap. She's alien spores. She's also only 36 mini unique. So in a sense, it kind of helps a little bit if you're kind of looking at like some of these other pieces of gear that may overlap. Other than the trait with her being bio, it can be helpful for you to at least just get started into Dark Dimension 5 if you're looking at it that way. Spider-Man also, I still like a little bit. He's a little bit more expensive on the mini unique side, but I think he's a little bit more plug and play-ish than the other Web Warrior characters, even Ghost Spider. So therefore, I think that he is at least a consideration that you can take a look at as well. I also really like Kingpin. I think Kingpin is good because he spawns with those bodyguards. He throws a ton up. He can also apply offense up and defense up. So a ton of utility value there. And the bodyguards can just be like extra sort of like, I guess, just other targets for the enemy to be able to hit. So I think Kingpin can provide some value there. She-Hulk is a consideration too, but it's just that she's so expensive. She's 90 mini uniques, and you can essentially take in 2 characters for the cost of her mini uniques. Although she is Gravitonium, it's like, man, I don't know if she's a first run character. She may be better off for first run. But if you're looking at something like, hey, you know what? I'm just focused on Apocalypse and I just want to, hey, I know it's going to be a hit, but I'll just do it anyways. And She-Hulk is someone that you can consider. And then Spider-Woman I have here as well, because I think she's decently plug and play. She does take the same unique for Dark Dimension. I mean, plug and play. She takes the same unique as Squirrel Girl. So if you're worried about unstable cloth and things like that, that may be a little bit of an issue. But this is kind of like your best option that you have available for City. If you were to force me to pick and choose, like, who would I bring in? I would start off with Shang-Chi, go with Squirrel Girl, go Miss Marvel probably, maybe Ghost Spider, and then probably Kingpin. But with Kingpin though, you also got to be a little careful because of Vibranium. If you're going to use a character in the global section that takes Vibranium and also in the legendary section, maybe you don't want to consider that, or maybe you make an adjustment to your global section because you are going to be bringing in Kingpin. And also, of course, then it allows you to then be able to bring in another bio character for probably your global section as well. Maybe you want to make that adjustment. So that's it for City, guys. That's the direction that I would go in. These are the options that I would select and kind of make your best bet from there. All right, guys, so let's talk about your global section here. So I've highlighted 10 characters that I actually really like that you can bring into Dark Dimension 5, and we'll talk about it. So I'll talk about like who I think probably like maybe a low-key sleeper character or maybe the star of the show that could definitely help out here. And I think it's Nemesis, right? Nemesis has a health steal on all of his abilities, and all of them redistribute to all allies, if I'm not mistaken, right? I think it's almost knocked over my mic there. His ultimate ability, steal 10%, redistribute to self and all allies. His special ability here, steals, redistribute to all allies. His basic, redistribute to, it's only Dead Seed allies on his basic, but at least you're still getting the health steal. So if you're thinking about, if you're looking at the Rebirth team here, we have Captain America, who can taunt and give defense sub to his allies, and then also give ability energy too. So he can grant 1 ability energy. And then also you have Captain America Sam, who can also give defense up and then also give ability energy. There's a possible chance here that you can kind of keep on feeding Nemesis and then getting him to do his ultimate and then getting him to do his special ability. Also having these 2 characters tank and then take on hits on the opposite side of like the field here, while Nemesis just continues to do his health steals. That could actually really become beneficial in your global section of your Dark Dimension. I also think throwing in Spider Weaver here would be good too. So like whenever she ults, she applies trauma, but she also gets and stuns. But then she also gets the charges. She gets the charges too with her special ability. So then that can negate damage from the enemy team as well. There's a couple of different ways here, I think, that you can kind of play this. So like Spider Weaver, Captain America Sam, Nemesis, and then also who did I say here? Captain America. And then for like a cheap option, you can probably throw in Gambit. He is mutant. You're not reusing a lot of mutant characters so far. Only Gambit and Nemesis have been like the 2 mutant characters that we've talked about here so far. You will use 2 more in your legendary section, but that's only going to be 4 mutant characters. So I think that kind of helps out with your global section and also eliminates you having to use other Mystic characters other than Spider Weaver, right? Because you're going to be using a lot of Mystic characters here. Now, bio characters, though, if depending on who you use in the City section, that may pose a little bit of an issue, because if you did use 4 bio characters, then you're using another bio character here in Captain America, and then probably going to be using Red Hulk, right, for your legendary section. That could pose a little bit of an issue. But if you chose to go with a little bit more skill, like using Kingpin, using like Shang-Chi, then only using maybe 3 bio characters, you may be able to get away with using a character like Captain America here. That could definitely help out this team. And then going, like I said, Gambit, Nemesis, Captain America, Sam, Spider-Weaver, using them here in this section. The reason why I had mentioned Molecular Cloth earlier is because Spider-Weaver does use Molecular Cloth. So therefore, you may not want to use Spider-Man 2099 and then also use Shang-Chi for your city section. That's the reason why I had mentioned that earlier. One thing that I actually just realized that I didn't really factor in fully is that Captain America Sam also does take Vibranium. So that may make it tough for you to use Kingpin in your city section, but maybe it might be worth it just to have the option of being able to use Captain America, who's going to be a part of your Rebirth Bio Ray team. That might be a good direction to go in, just so that you can at least have him available, so that you can use him for the defense up, use him for the ability energy, use him for his other skills that he can do as well, just to be able to kind of continue to get Nemesis to go and do a lot of his health steal. That may be a good direction for you to go. And by the way, something that I'm probably going to be testing out here very soon. But other options in this section, you still have Sharon Carter, you still have Maria Hill. The Secret Avenger team is still your best skill Doom Raid bio team here. I do like Brawn and Abomination, but they may not be ideal first run characters because of the bio gear. Brawn also doesn't have that health steal as well, which could be helpful. There is Vision and Deathlock, who you can also use. Deathlock does take shield tech. So that may be a little bit of an issue if you use Miss Marvel and of course later on Kestrel. I think Vision you're probably good with though from a hero unique perspective, but I don't think that you'll want to use just Vision and without using Deathlock, or using Deathlock without Vision. You're kind of probably going to want to use those characters together. So probably if you're going in a different direction there, then maybe not using those characters might be a thing, but they are tech characters. So that could also help with some of the bottlenecks too. There is Agatha. Agatha's Mystic. Once again, may not be a great first run character because of the Mystic gear and the amount of Mystic characters that you're going to have to use in your Cosmic section. But there you can use her is basically what I'm saying. There's Psylocke. There's Dark Beast as well. That is also a consideration, but maybe you don't want to use too many mutant characters, but Dark Beast could be helpful here as well. Depending on he is 54 minis, so it's more expensive than Gambit, but maybe you don't want to use Gambit because of the osmium, and maybe you want to go with Dark Beast instead. It's up to you in which direction you want to go in, because of course Dark Beast is going to have the assist, is going to provide some assist mechanics, right? For the section. So maybe Nemesis, Dark Beast, Cap Sam, Captain America, Spider-Weaver might be the optimal team to go with here. So that's what I can see so far for the global section. A lot of characters that you have available to you here that you can ultimately use in different sections. So let's talk next about Cosmic. Cosmic is straightforward because there's just not a lot of options. These are your 4 best options that are right here up top: Strange, Heartless, Cersei, Kestrel, and Icarus. Like, those are your best options that you have available. Alternate options that you could go with, probably T'Challa because of the cheapness of him, and also the fact that his mini unique as well is Carbonadium. Most likely not going to use any other character that has Carbonadium. He's also a tech character as well. So you're not going to be, as you can see, we have not used a lot of tech characters, right? Other than Kestrel so far, really. That's really kind of the only tech character that we've used so far. And if you do use Spider-Man, he does take some origin tech gear, but that's pretty much it, guys. So Star-Lord may be ideal to use here as a 5th character, although you're not going to use him in a lot of other areas. Although he's actually a little bit more plug and play than people do give him credit for. I think that's probably the direction that I would go in if I were kind of building out here. But the reason why I talked about Mystic before is because you have Icarus, Cersei, Strange, Heartless, and then we had Spider-Weaver. And then of course, in the legendary section, we're going to use another Mystic character. So that's the reason why I was a little concerned about using another Mystic character in the global section, like Agatha, or using Doom. With the reason why I kind of crafted using Cap Sam and Captain America, because I wanted to kind of steer away a little bit here from going heavily on Mystic gear. Now, some other characters that could be considerations. There is Phyla-Vell. She is a bio character though, but I do like her passive and how it can synergize with other characters that have death proof and be able to give them drain. Cersei and Icarus do get death proof, so that definitely could be helpful. She does have She does take augmented astral energy though. So if you're looking at that's also the same unique that Icarus takes. If you want to use Psylocke, she takes that too. So maybe you don't want to use it for that purpose. And also she's bio as well. So that may be tough for you to make a decision on as well. There are 2 other characters that are part of the Hero Asgardian team that obviously you can use for Scourge. I don't like them ideally for teal gear, but if you're just looking for an alternative 5th character and you don't want to use T'Challa, then Sif can work because she is skill gear. She does take augmented Uru though, which is the same unique as Cersei, so that may be a little challenging. And then there is Valkyrie, who's also a skill character, but she does take the same hero unique as Doctor Strange, Heartless, and Prometheum. So that is something to factor into the equation when you are trying to make a selection for Cosmic. But I think Cosmic is a lot more straightforward than a lot of the other nodes because there's so limited characters, but there's also like top standout characters too that you want to use here. So therefore, this is the direction that I would go in. These top 5 characters here, I would probably make this a decision again to go in with these guys. And then we go over to our legendary section here, which we definitely should talk about. I think that there's a clear-cut favorite as to who you should bring in. There's Morgan Le Fay, Rogue, Red Hulk, then there's Archangel, right? Like you want to bring in those characters. And then the question is like, okay, who else do you bring in after that? This one is tough because I like Shuri. Shuri is a tech character, so not a lot of tech characters have been used so far, but Shuri is vibranium. So if you've used Kingpin and if you've used Captain Sam, then Shuri may be tough to use because of the vibranium. You may not have that many vibranium pieces available to you, or maybe the cosmic section will probably take you long enough to where you may be able to recuperate the vibranium that you need for the legendary section. That is just, I'm just kind of keeping it real, and it's just kind of like letting you guys know that you got to think about the hero uniques too, but the options are just not super plentiful. So that's kind of the way that we're looking at it. But I would say Shuri is a nice little addition, plug and play character that you can use here with the defense up, ability energy. She can provide some heals. I think that would be really nice to be able to use her here. I did highlight Magneto because of course he's a part of the Apocalypse unlock. So therefore you can use him. He is Palladium, the same unique as Braun. So if you chose to go with Braun in your global section, just keep in mind that they do share that hero unique. Also worth mentioning, Magneto is very expensive. I believe he is 90 mini uniques and another mutant character. So if you have used Dark Beast, if you have used Nemesis, if you're now going in with Rogue and then also Archangel, going with Magneto may be tough, considering that Magneto essentially can be the cost of 2 mutant characters. May not be ideal. There is Iron Man. Well, you could use too, but he is gamma radiation. You're probably going to want to save your gamma radiation for your second run characters like Braun and Abomination. Well, not Braun. Braun is, sorry, like I said, Palladium, but like Abomination. Abomination. Also, Red Hulk does take the same gamma too. So that may be kind of tough to bring in Iron Man. Iron Man is also expensive. He's 90 mini uniques as well, so may not be ideal. There is Omega Red, and I love Omega Red, by the way. I think he's a phenomenal character. I think he's definitely worth still getting, although it does take a lot to be able to get him, but I still think he's worth getting because I think he's a sensational character. The issue here is that he is another mutant character, and when you're looking at your mutant gear, you're probably going to want to prioritize those other characters that we mentioned in Global, Dark Beast, Nemesis, Archangel, Rogue. May not want to throw your additional mutant gear on Omega Red. So it's kind of going to be up to you and sort of like where your gear is at that point. But these are what I consider to be the best options. I'm hoping that one day, man, Star-Lord gets a rework and then he can be a recommended character or at least an alternate character for your Dark Dimension runs. We'll have to see how that kind of pans out. But hopefully this was helpful information for you here and you're able to kind of figure out, what makes the most sense for you. Obviously, I didn't give like specific teams because I do think that a lot of other players rosters are going to be different, right? Stars, red stars, things like that. What you get for hero uniques and what you get for gear, right? It's going to be different. So I wanted to provide you with like options that you could use and why you can use those options, and then kind of have you make the decision from there. So hope this was a helpful video for you guys. Leave it in the comment if you do have any sort of questions about anything. We can go from there. Always looking to help. But appreciate you guys watching the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video if you do like the content here. Hit the notification bell so that you know when the videos do go live. There's also some links that are down below in the description. There's one, of course, in my Discord. There's Twitch. There's also my new YouTube channel as well, which I started recently this week as well, which is a comic YouTube channel where we cover a lot of Marvel comics, TV shows, things of that nature. So check that out as well, guys, down below. Appreciate you guys watching the video. Until next time, guys, I'll be blessed. I'll be safe.